And good afternoon from Juliet here from Facade Academy, and I also run the fan club. So today what I want to do is talk about insects. If you can understand the real shape and the real, the body parts, exactly where they are, you will find it's so much easier to paint them any shape or any position you like. Once you've got the main rules, then you can change it up as you wish, and you can, make them cartoony. You can invent your own, even. You can do what you like. But if you know the essential body parts and the shape, then it will work. Yeah, so that's what I want you to think about. So let me turn my phone around and I'll show you some of the sketches I've done. And you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. So here we are. You can see on my little sketch here, which I've sort of describing what all insects are basically built in the same way. Okay, so let me explain. So they have the head, comes to about here, the thorax, and then the abdomen. So these are the three sections. Yeah, 1, 2, and 3. The head obviously does all the, the eating, and it has the eyes and everything else. It has the antenna, so it can feel and sense. The antenna, again, the shapes vary. Then you've got the thorax. Now this is the sort of control center really of the beast. This is where it's I was going to say heart, but it's the whole pumping system is in here really. And it's separated usually into 3 parts. The thorax has got 3 parts. And from the first part, you have one set of legs, second part another, third part another. So the legs are attached underneath the thorax. And then the wings are attached to number 2 and number 3. Now on a beetle, because a beetle is also an insect, the wing casing, so like on a ladybird, you might have this, and then as you know, all the spots to turn it into a ladybird. The wing casing, that part, is attached to number 2 there. And then the wing itself of the ladybird is quite often packed away underneath its casing. But the wing, the actual wing, is attached to the part 3. All right. So really the most important thing to remember is that all the legs and all the wings are attached to the thorax. Okay, the abdomen does not have the wings or the legs attached. Okay, so you can, don't worry about that. There's lots of different insects. There's a lot really well, I'm sure. Beetles, as I've just described, the ladybird. Butterflies, we all know. Again, their wings are attached to number 2 and number 3, so they have 2 wings each side. The dragonfly, same goes, attached to 2 and 3. The bee, it may look like they only have 1 wing, but actually they have 2, but the underneath one, the hind wing, is much smaller on a bee. Stick insects, and so on. So they come in trillions, well, certainly millions or even billions of different shapes and sizes. Some bodies are very long and thin, like a dragonfly, for instance. Sometimes their mouth parts on a beetle might be really long, or they have a great big horn or something. The wings, they vary in shape. They could be enormous, they could be tiny. They're all there. And on some insects, the wings they're not even there on all of them. In other words, they might be only on the female or the male. For instance, ants, you probably all know about Flying Ant Day, and that you know, so they do have wings at a certain stage of their lifespan. And the other thing is the legs. Now, they bear, believe it or not, some relation to our leg. So they have, let me just do a leg here. So on each one, so it's attached, as I say, to the thorax. They have the attachment part, and then they have the first part, which is the tibia. I think that's the big one, isn't it? And then they have a fibia, and then they also have the foot, so the tarsals. So on our feet we have tarsals and metatarsals and whatever else. So, you know, and the shapes change depending on the beast. So on a cricket, for instance, this part would be really big because that's where they have the kind of muscles so they can spring and really jump. Spiders are sorry, I'm not going to talk about spiders because they're not insects, but other flies have got very tiny, thin legs, you know, just almost as thin as my pen here. Some legs, like on a bee, have got hair on them. Some have little hooks on them. So they all vary depending on what that particular creature does. So, you know, this is the main thing I really wanted to point out to you. So I thought I'd just paint a few little ones so you can get the idea and how you can add and change them as you wish. So let's turn a page. I thought I'd do it on paper because it's much easier to, it dries quicker. So, for instance, I might do an ant. So remember, 3 parts. So we've got the head, we've got the thorax, and then the abdomen, which is much longer. All right. And then the legs, as I said before, are attached to the thorax. So let's put, so I can have them kind of like this on that side, another one on that side. So let's put the ones at the front. Anyway, you get the idea. And then they've got their little antenna. So at speed, when you're painting insects, you can literally just, if you put 3 marks, and it doesn't matter what shape. So for instance, I could do an insect like this. It might exist, it might not, it probably does. And then I could do something like this. And that would be an insect because it has its 3 parts. All right. And then it can have a antenna attached to the head, and then it could have, say, 1, 2, 3. That's just the tibia. Let's move it over this way a little bit. Okay, so 1, 2, and 3. And then you can do the other parts. And it becomes believable simply because you have attached the legs to the thorax, to the right place. And as I say, you can, you know, you really can do any shape you like. So I could have a long head like this, maybe with some sticky out eyes or something. I mean, I'm inventing them now because that's what you can do. And then we could have the thorax coming down to, say, a point. And then we can have an abdomen. So you know, it is really fun to just invent your own. So I could do that. But as long as you know the main points to include, you can't go far wrong. Now I'll just show you what you can also do with, say, a one stroke. So if I just, again, invent another insect, I can do that and that. And we can have thorax there. And then we'll give him a body, the abdomen. As I said, it's a bit like, I don't know, flowers. You know, you really can invent, or fish maybe, you know, that there are so many different sorts of fish and flowers that if you invent one, it probably exists somewhere, you know. And then I can give it a little antenna there. And again, remember, 1, 2 and 3, head, thorax, abdomen. So I'm going to put, so the legs are attached underneath this, if you like, round about there. So as long as you've got the first angles right, 1, 2 and 3, you'll be okay. That one pointing back, that one walking a bit, you can go there as well. And then just a little foot, which again you can invent. You can give it claws or stickers, yeah. And then maybe I can just give this some, using the edge of the chisel edge. You know how a lot of insects and butterflies have kind of hairy bits. Another word. And then I can just give it a bit more, just to give it a bit more definition. You see how you can just design whatever you like using whatever colours you like. Now there may be a beetle like this, I have no idea. But there he is. My little beetle. I wonder if he does exist. Who knows? Okay, so remember, 3 parts: the head, the thorax, the abdomen, and the legs and the wings are attached to the thorax in the middle. That's what to remember, be you a butterfly or a beetle or a dragonfly or a bee or whatever else, they are always attached to the abdomen. And remember, the legs, 3 parts: